Check out my tips and tricks for an easy do-it-yourself wainscoting project using trim frames nailed to painted drywall. It's a piece of cake. Next, I'm going to tackle this area right here, which is going to be a little trickier, a lot of custom pieces. So what I've done is made a sketch of the area like this.
Your drawing can be a simple sketch on notebook paper. The thing to remember is you want to keep your 3.5-inch spacing, and you want to create a layout that is pleasing to you and that you will be happy with. You have to create this drawing before you can put it on the wall.
Having a sketch like this, now I'm going to lay it out by hand on the wall, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually trace each piece right off the wall so I know exactly how to make the cuts. Let's get started. Now for the strange angles, let's go ahead and use a piece of real trim to trace the outline of the trim, and then where the intersections are, we can mark what the angle is that we need to cut. Now I've got the outline of this traced. I'm going to go ahead and connect the corners, and that will show me what each piece is going to look like after cut.
All right, now I've got all of these complicated shapes drawn on the wall.
Because I'm going to cut many of these pieces at one time, I'm going to go ahead and mark each of these pieces on the wall so I can mark the cut pieces and I'll know where they'll go. So in other words, this whole frame over here, I'm going to call frame number 1. So I'm going to mark this piece as 1A. I'm going to mark this as 1B, mark this as 1C. This up here, I'm going to call this 2. So I'm going to call this 2A, 2B, 2C. This is 2D. Now, I'm going to hold this up here and I'm going to mark exactly where to cut. And I'm going to mark this as 1B. So after it's cut, I'll know where that it goes in this spot here. For my first cut, I've got a mark here and I've got a mark here. So I want to try to line my saw blade up with that, and I'm going to make a number of cuts. I'm going to cut outside of it first to see if I'm parallel to this cut. And I'm going to keep adjusting it until I'm just right with my angle. And then I'm going to take it inside and I'll check it on the wall to make sure I'm perfect. Okay, so I can see I'm about a 1/16 of an inch away from this one, and maybe a little bit more than a 1/16 of an inch on this one. So I have to correct my saw just a little bit. It's looking pretty good. Now I'm going to go check it inside.
All right, so we're going to check the first cut on piece 1B to this. I'm going to hold it up to the wall right on my lines. Line it up perfectly now. We want precise. Okay, and now I'm going to check my angle, and look at that. The angle is perfect, okay? So now I know my saw is set properly to make this cut. So I'm going to go back outside and cut right to the line. Then I will move on to making this cut. Continue this process for each and every piece of trim. It takes a lot of time, but making sure that each cut is perfect will result in a perfect frame. To help you cut acute angles, cut a 2x4 at 45 degrees at both ends like I've done here. You can clamp it to your saw fence like this and then adjust your saw to get the acute angle that you need. Next, assemble the frames on a flat work surface before taking them in to mount on the wall. For more information on this step, check out video part 1.
Y ahora el tiempo de la verdad. And now the moment of truth. We've got all of our frames put together. Let's see if they fit what we laid out on the wall, and we'll nail them up. It's looking freaking beautiful.
After all the frames are nailed up, fill and sand the nail holes, caulk the frames to the wall, and then paint everything, and your work will be done. So what do you guys think? I gotta say, my wife and I could not be happier with how this project turned out, and I hope yours turns out great too.
If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel. If you know somebody else who could benefit from this video, please share it with them. Thanks, and I will see you later, guys.